Hello, Ursula. How are you?
Hello, good morning. I'm very well. How are you?
I'm fine, Ursula. I was on the run, making sure I'll be on time today. And I'm so happy to be talking to you after for so many times. We've been really wanting this to happen. And
Yes.
people who listen to this, they will figure out that I say this sentence every time. But that's what happens, actually. It's like I make sure really that the person is really fully well at ease being here. And I hope you enjoy the Ikigai Kaizen International Podcast for its fourth edition. Welcome, Ursula.
Wow. Well, thank you very much. Yes, I always enjoy podcast. I always say I prefer talking versus writing. So this is perfect, and I love the setup and the content of your podcast. I think it's very powerful and needed in today's world. So thank you for having me. Well, I'm Ursula. I am the co-founder of Be Above Leadership, and we are an international coach training organization. And that's sort of my one part of my one part of my life, a big part of my life. 70% of my time is spent leading the courses and creating curriculum. And then the other part is my coaching and training business, Profound Growth, where I really support women leaders who work in male-dominated industries find their voice and really connect themselves to their executive presence, to be calm, to be present, to have a voice, a powerful voice that's, completely authentic. And so I really enjoy working with women in that arena. So that's me.
Thank you, Ursula. And that's actually what attracted me to Profound Growth. And allow me to tell you when was the first time really I came across you, your profile, whatever you're doing, and the great job you're doing for the community, for coaches, and for everybody.
Thank you.
I attended your session, the first one, I think, 2 years ago at the ICF Coaching Week. I can remember, I think it was 2 years ago. And it
Yeah.
was an amazing session. And you always provide like free webinars to the community. And you have your own podcast as well. And
Yes.
that really, you kind of iterate that spirit of a leader who is fully rounded, presenting your service, but also, that extra mile, presenting extra material so that everyone can really learn something from you. And every time I exit your webinar or your event, whatever, even by just listening to your podcast, is like I have those aha moments that we call them in coaching. I learned something new. And it was amazing, amazing, Ursula. Allow me to say this openly to everybody. The energy in your webinars is one of a kind. And that's
Oh, thank you.
what I
That's so sweet of you. That's very sweet of you. I really, really appreciate that.
Thanks, Ursula. And we're going to today, just like, the coaching, it's not going to be a coaching session because I can't, even technically speaking, coach you.
We can coach each other.
So what we're going to do is just we're going to get inspired from the spirit, the mindset. It's
Mm.
in a podcasting style. It's like the questions are not going to be kind of formal and tell me how all it started with your career and so on and so forth. So we'll start exploring this by asking you the first question after who is Ursula. What makes Ursula happy?
Oh my goodness, that is a deep question. Well, before we put the recording on, we had a brief moment to connect, and I was telling you, it is a Saturday. I live in Minnesota in most of the year when it gets too cold here, and I don't know if you're familiar with the northern United States, but from January till about April, it is really cold and really snowy. So in those from January to April, we actually head south. You go to Florida and spend 4 months on the ocean. That makes me happy. That's one area that makes me happy, not to have to be cold and shovel snow, but be on the ocean, be in nature, and being able to be outdoors. I'm really an outdoors person, and I need to move my body. If I don't move my body regularly, like every day, I get very antsy. There's an energy that just somehow needs to find a release. So I play golf, I play tennis, I walk, and that again makes me happy when I can be outside, move my body. So being on the ocean, being outside, playing sports that I really love. And then on the private side, I have two little granddaughters who are just lively and funny and active and very curious, and they're just delight me. And then from a professional perspective, what really makes me happy is when either my students or my clients have these light bulb moments, when they get it, when they suddenly go, oh, now I got it. That makes me so happy.
Yeah.
And being with you makes me happy. Being on a podcast makes me happy. So there's lots of things that make me happy. So thank you for asking.
Thank you so much. And I heard like curiosity, I heard happiness, I heard granddaughter, I heard professional life. So let's say Ursula and the world, Ursula and her students and her clients. Is there something that you've learned recently from anyone surrounding you? Not necessarily like we call it a lesson, but a shared moment that you can share with us today that make you think that life is more than just amazing. It's simple, and happiness is just beyond what everybody thinks. So a shared moment, if you may share this.
Yeah, it's that is a very interesting question, and something I should have said maybe in the introduction is that my passion is working with people at the intersection of neuroscience and consciousness. So I am a little bit of a neuroscience geek, because I feel understanding how your brain works really can help people regulate their nervous system, be more present, and really learn why we do the things we do and where emotions come from and how we act and react in certain ways. So that's sort of the long way around to coming to an example. I recently was challenged by a situation of someone that I know extremely well. They were going through a very, very hard time, and I'm, deeply connected to that person. I have known them for more than 30 years. So we're deeply connected, and the struggle that they were going through really touched me, and also stressed me, because I could see how hard that was for them. And while I was, talking to them on the phone when it happened, and they were really distraught and crying and frustrated, there was something that was sort of emerging in that moment, which was really, okay, we are here in this moment where life seems really hard. But what I know from personal experience, nothing lasts forever. The beautiful days, they don't last forever, but our struggles and our the sadness, frustration, pain, or whatever people are going through, that also doesn't last forever. And then 2 days later, I checked in with this person again, and I could already see the shift in energy. While 2 days before, this person was, really almost not able to do anything or think clearly because of the stress chemicals were so interfering with clarity and with nervous system regulation. 2 days later, when I was with her, we were going for a walk, I could see that her nervous system had already adjusted to her new reality. And I found that such just a powerful moment to look at the human spirit and go like, this event that just happened 2 days ago was really world shattering for that person. But here we are 2 days later, and there is already a sparkle again. There's already an optimism. There's already, now I've experienced this, but how can I move forward? And this person was asking, well, what am I actually learning from all this? And I thought, my goodness, the human spirit is absolutely amazing. And so when we're looking at the world with all its pain and suffering, but there is the human spirit that seems to just rise above it. And in community, we are just so much better and we are so much stronger. And so that was just, I just looked at that person and said to her, I am really in awe and I'm really proud of you, how you've come in just 2 days out of this deep despair. And here you are.
Thank you for sharing, Ursula. It's like heartwarming to hear this. And it's amazing, really, to know about the impact of coaching on people's lives. And to this, I come to the question, which is, how do you approach coaching? And so let's start step by step. So what's coaching for Ursula?
Well, coaching, as you know, is really the facilitation of someone else's insight and wisdom. And that's really how I hold my work. I am facilitating learning, growth, and change. So that's the first thing. It's really, I'm a partner in the journey of life. And because of the neuroscience, I'm also an educator. So my coaching is maybe not as traditional as maybe the International Coach Federation would me have it be, because when you think about helping your clients understand how their brain works, what's involved in also the brain-body connection, presence, there are insights that when we learn, this is how the chemicals impact our thinking. Here are the different parts of the brain that really help us either be effective or not. There's a little educational component in my work that's needed, but it's not supposed to be a lecture. But it's a sharing of, here is what might be helpful for you to know. This is normalizing. This is, if you feel this stressed and all of a sudden you have no empathy for anybody and you get irritated, well, that's actually normal because that's your brain. And so I think that insight and that the sort of research educational component can really help people get away from their own self-judgment. It's like, oh, why am I so irritated? And why can't I, make anything happen? Well, it's because you've been stressed for like 3 months and, sooner or later, your brain will just not cooperate anymore because the chemicals, have such huge influence. So for me, coaching is facilitation, partnership, curiosity, but also sharing in a supportive way what is useful and is ultimately hopefully helpful, for my clients. So that's how I hold my work, and I approach it from both depth and also lightness. I like to have fun. I think there's a lot to be said and there's a lot that we can tap into when we use humor and fun, even when life gets hard. Does that make sense?
A lot. And thank you so much for really sharing this. And it's all about sharing, as you said. The question that really I'm curious to know more about, just like in coaching, for novice coaches, those who are discovering their identity for the first time as a coach, especially those who consider a career shift, And sometimes I have that identity clash between what they're used to be for years in trying to adapt oneself into the coaching mindset. It's like I shared a lot and I talked with other colleagues, especially at the beginning, the early stages. It was difficult sometimes to purge that identity, but at the same time, embrace it. It's like you're not going just to wear the cloak of a coach and forget about what you bring along,
Yes.
with knowledge or specialty.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to ask you to share a piece of advice because we don't advise ICF with coaches. But maybe some insights, you know this very well. With insights is, let's say, what kind of journey or pathway should really those novice coaches start? I don't want to say follow. I'm thinking of a question. This is an improvised one. As long as all the other ones, how can they really give themselves the time, patience, so that they discover their own identity without being harsh on themselves?
Yeah.
And what's there's no right way or wrong way, but what's the secret formula? Let's say secret potion
Secret potion. I love that.
towards this.
The secret potion. Well, I I work with, as I said, women leaders in male-dominated industries, but I also work, I coach coaches. I mean, I have a fair amount of people in my coaching practice that are either beginning coaches, as you said, or are, former students of mine that want to bring the neuroscience and consciousness work really into their coaching practice, and they are they're more the advanced and experienced coaches. Put it that way. But I also work with beginning coaches. And it is, one of the things that I find when I coach that population is that I often find people want to give up too early. To your point, coaches might come out of a very professional, maybe organizational even environment, and all of a sudden, they've quit, they've started their coaching business, and they're really trying to navigate this whole transition. And certainly what we know about neuroscience, neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to constantly rewire and change, that is sort of when that kicks in.
Yeah.
Because we have and I was there 25 years ago because I've done this now for 25 years ago. So you can imagine my neural pathways in my brain are now they're a super highway of coaching. It's well grooved, well worn. But newer coaches don't have that. It's the metaphor of, superhighway versus dirt road. So, the superhighway in their brain might still be activated of, when I was in an organization, for example, I had all this support and there was all this structure. And now I'm a coach, which means you're an entrepreneur. You're not just a coach. And that is a different pathway in your brain. And that is something that needs developing. And also the super highway of being in an organization or doing something completely different, being a teacher or, whatever it is. Or, a lot of people come out of HR or OD. It's funnily, what I've also noticed, there's a lot of people that come out of tech that now become coaches. And I always find that fascinating. So there are super highways of how these people have done work that now is very different from coaching. And so I think when we are starting something, whether it's a coaching business or anything else, really doesn't matter. We need to really be patient because that super highway of all the things we've done previously, potentially for 10, 15, 20, 30 years, that's a superhighway in your brain. And the mindset of coaching and the mindset of being an entrepreneur is a dirt road. So start with what you believe is your authentic self and stick with it. Now, I have reinvented myself over the last 25 years, probably four times,
Yeah.
at least, if not more,
Mhm.
including website changes and all of that. So that's also going to happen as you continuously discover yourself. You discover, what is my ideal client? What kind of coaching do I want to do? What is the energy I want within, the coaching practice? Those are things that you will discover over time. And that's all part of the construction of your neural pathway, of being truly the seasoned, experienced, fully authentic coach. But it will take time, because your brain will want to use the superhighway because it's easier and faster for the brain. The brain is lazy. It runs on glucose, so it is a lot harder energetically to do something new, because it requires so much intention and attention that sometimes when we get tired or stressed, the brain just wants to do what it's always done because it's easier and requires less energy. So, explore, experiment, and find your way with patience, knowing that it will take time. And just stick with it, because if you do, good things will happen.
Thank you. Exactly. It's like being patient with oneself,
Yes.
along with being patient with clients, with
Yeah.
network, with it
Yeah.
all starts with oneself.
Yes.
Some recurring questions, like you mentioned, is like, what's my blueprint? What's my niche? So a lot of colleagues, they've been really asking these questions. I can see them, in the community.
Yeah.
So trying to know oneself first is key before trying to explore other people's lives. And I see part of the ethics as well for coaching, that responsibility is like being really grounded, being really in the here and now really serves a lot. It helps people, connect with you. So if as a coach, you still cannot still find your, safe ground, maybe. So I think it's time always to kind of question that, try to maybe reflect more on this, so that to find that well-rounded coaching, what we call it the coaching mindset with
Yes.
ICF. So it's like you embody this, and then after this, uh, your clients will gravitate towards you. It's like your clients will choose you. They will
Yes.
in you maybe the key, or maybe I don't
Yeah.
want to say a solution, but maybe an answer to some
Yeah.
questions they have.
Yeah.
So, as ACC, PCC coaches preparing this in the progress, these questions they pop up every time. It's like, how do I know myself as a coach? What is my identity as a coach? And you talked about something interesting as well, which is merging entrepreneurship with coaching, like coachpreneurship.
Yes.
Like sometimes they tell you, I'm good in coaching, I'm good at coaching, but not necessarily good at having a business. What can
Yep.
business? So,
Yep.
to piece of advice.
That's it. And that I hear that all the time. I love coaching. I love my clients. I love this work, but I hate the business side of it.
Hmm.
And I don't know what to do. And it's such a struggle. But it really, the truth is that if you want to have a coaching business, you have to also get into your entrepreneurial mindset. It
Mhm.
is absolutely essential, because without it, you will not be effective and you will not be successful. Now, it doesn't mean you have to do it all by yourself. There are certain things that you can hand over to other people. So, for example, if you run a business, there is budgets and money and eventually taxes involved, year-end taxes, which I hated to do. It's so much details and looking at the money and all of that. It was like, oh my gosh, it's like, please. So eventually I realized, well, why am I doing this? There is accountants and bookkeepers out there that are much better at that, and they actually love that, and I don't. So
You hire them?
I
Yeah.
hired a bookkeeper. It was like, and it wasn't expensive. I just made up in my head, my internal conversation was, oh, it's too much work and they need to be trained and it's too expensive. But what I didn't realize is that if I could hand this over, it would free up energy and time and space for me to actually be more effective with other things. And you heard me say earlier on, I love podcasts because I don't like to write. Now, for you all, dear listening, people, whether you're coaches or not, doesn't matter. If you love to write, write. If you don't. If you want to talk, talk. So, don't feel there are any shoulds, especially in terms of marketing, and PR and people, oh, I don't want to be out there and I don't like networking. Well, I don't either. I don't like networking. I find it, I don't know, for me personally, and that's not to say it's not useful or effective, but for me personally, it's not something I've ever enjoyed. So I found other ways of connecting, being on LinkedIn and, being on podcasts. That delights me. That's a way to do PR, and bring my voice and my unique perspective out into the world. So find what you enjoy and please don't do anything that's a should. Because as you said, energetically, your clients will pick up on that. They
Exactly.
will pick up on it that you're not having fun, that the joy sort of is gone, flew out the window, and that ultimately will really be counterproductive. So, in terms of running your business, hand over things that you don't like. Like for me, technology and accounting, I don't know how to write code for my website. I'm not even good at Canva and, bringing images into LinkedIn. So I've found people that do that really well. Rather than me spending hours trying to figure that one out, it's like, no, here's a person that's really good at that. So hand over things that you don't like or not good at, and then really that will free up so much space and so much energy. And then
Exactly.
don't do anything of the shoulds. Find what you love to do, and then it'll be easy. And then you will also stick with it.
Mhm.
Because if you don't like to write and you think you should, you might be doing it for a month or two or even three, but over years,
You're
that's
correct.
not sustainable.
Yes, yes, exactly, exactly. It's like do what you love.
Yeah,
If you can't, you just don't stop there. Don't stagnate there. Don't, it's like
yeah,
delegate if you can delegate.
yeah.
Someone, an expert who can do it for you. For now, there's AI with websites. I created my own website with AI. It's like first
Well,
experience.
yes, exactly. I mean, AI in the coaching space is a little bit of an issue, but it's a tool for writing, for PowerPoints, I mean, it's a funny thing, I when I do webinars, I always have a PowerPoint and I want them to be lively and great, but I am not a good PowerPoint creator. So I did a webinar the other day on values, and I had some slides from a previous webinar, but I thought, oh, I want to freshen it up a little bit. I asked AI to create a PowerPoint on the content that I already had. I tell you,
Mhm.
I couldn't have done it better. And
Yeah.
it was done in 5 minutes. That
Yeah.
would have taken me 5 hours.
Yeah.
And
Times.
I took it and I edited it and I discarded some things and, rewrote some items, but the structure was there. I
Yeah.
tell you, I said to my husband, you wouldn't believe what just happened. AI created a PowerPoint. I really like it. It was like, wow.
It's amazing. It's like sometimes you can just, write the topic and it generates the presentation. Other times, it's like I use Gamma, for instance. You can create a blog or you can create a presentation, but I
Yeah.
don't that much for presentations, only sometimes to revamp, like you said, some of the
Yes, absolutely. Yep.
that you want to give them, a new look, new colors, new.
Yep.
So not the whole presentation itself, because I'm telling my students not to use AI for that. It's like
No, I agree with you because you want your voice to be in there. You want it to be authentic,
that.
but I can give you the skeleton, can
Yeah,
give you a little bit of a structure, and around that you can put your own colors, your own voice, your own content. So
uh,
I absolutely
I
agree, but
love it.
it's a great starting point.
Yeah, I loved it. And talking about something interesting you mentioned, minutes ago, it was about the type of communicator you are. Is like you don't like writing, for instance, that much. You do podcasting. So that I tried it, and I'm going to share something with you about an experience that I had with some of my trainees. It's like we went through a coaching, team building, activities. And part of this is exploring their future stuff.
Mm,
Usually, I do it as a teacher always, like I've been doing this for years before being a coach. How to write a letter to oneself.
yep.
So it was the classic thing. I would bring them a piece of paper, dear future me, dear future self, and they write it down. This year, I explored a different perspective about it. It's just, I told them, if you want to write, you can write. If you want to draw, you can draw. If you want to record a video to yourself, you call it an auto portrait or whatever. You keep that video to yourself. The most important thing is that you express yourself the way you want, the way you're most comfortable with. And I had amazing results.
Yes.
Like everybody did it their own pace. They
Yeah.
enjoyed it, and they left the session with a lot of positive insights. First starting to merge even with other people, talking to them, and
Mm,
then even the posture changed. Some of them, they were sitting alone. They started really kind of to be more comfortable going and talking to other people. So that exercise of exploring that future self, in especially with AI. So what I added to this, I forgot to mention, they recreated and generated photos of their future self with AI, and we had hilarious results. It's like how themselves, some they kind of saw themselves, in an office in a skyscraper. Others, leaving, a jet, a private jet, and traveling and doing
right, right,
stuff.
right, right. Yes.
It's like
Oh
a
my gosh, that is really funny. That I would never have thought about that, but I really like it. Now, it's interesting, from a again sort of brain perspective, what you did so beautifully there is you gave people a choice. Draw, record, write. There's three things here that you can do, and it's entirely up to you. And when we give people choice, have agency
yeah,
over how they do it and what they do, that is so much more impactful in terms of the brain than it is saying to people, this is your assignment, this is what you need to do.
yeah,
And that is so coach-like. It's about choice from all these things. What are you choosing? That is so empowering,
it
and
is.
it accesses creativity as you discovered. I mean, all of a sudden it's like, oh,
Yeah, and,
could
and,
do it
and
that way.
sorry, if you can't do any of that, here is AI. It's like I gave them the last solution with AI. It's like I kept it till the end. I was observing who's writing, who's drawing. And talking about agency, as you mentioned, so I noticed as well that participants there were more of being themselves, and they
Yeah.
enjoyed it because you allow them, not allow them, it's not allowing, you give them the space so that they can be themselves. And that's
Yes.
the case. And actually, that's pure coaching.
Yes, absolutely. It's and holding space, and that's what I always think. When I talk to my students and they're sort of grappling with new tools and how to do that and so on, I often say, you have to remember that your clients come to you for the space you hold.
Yes.
Rest is gravy. The rest is the icing on the cake. It's the space you hold energetically. That's really what your clients come to you for. And then, the questions and the choices, the tools, the accountability, and everything that goes along with coaching. That's just a bonus.
Exactly. That really echoes, like we said, the coaching mindset is like holding the space so
Mhm.
that the client, the person you're with on the journey feels themselves. Most of the time, if not every time, that presence, that space, sometimes we're talking about even the silent moments that you allow a person
Yeah.
to kind of go introspectively and reflect, dig deep into their thoughts. It's a growth space, like profound growth. And it's amazing. Ever since I came across coaching, I was coach myself first. And but then I discovered it, and it was through my mentor coach that I really say hi, and I'm grateful to him. His name is Dr. Qais Ganouni. He's an MCC, newly MCC coach in Tunis. He was amazing, and we shared a lot of that in a podcast first. And then he told me, Yusra, why don't you try the experience yourself? And then it's like magic. It's like
Yeah.
magic, Ursula. He's like allowing us for that growth space while being here,
Yeah.
without necessarily having to echo any of that. It's just like we're growing as a community here in Tunisia. And really, you're so
Mm.
very welcome to come here, Ursula, or even present with us online if we get a chance once to have an event. I'm sure the community here will learn a lot from you.
Oh, I would love to. I would absolutely love to. It's interesting. I've not been to Tunisia in Well, the first time I went, I was probably 17 or 18. I'm European, German, and I remember being a sort of early teen, and my parents and I went to Tunisia for on vacation, and I just love the country. It's the colors, the food, the markets. So yes, if you want me to come and speak to your community, I would love to.
It would be amazing. We have every year the coaching conference, so I'll make sure I bring this
Yeah.
to our next meetings. And we had Carl last year. It was Carl. He's an MCC coach as well, so we had it as a guest here. And every year we have this conference, so it would be amazing to see you for real.
I can do neuroscience and coaching.
Exactly,
My
exactly.
my favorite topic.
And really, Ursula, we're lucky to have you in the field. And I'm amazed. And it's like every time I talk to you, it's a learning opportunity for me. And before we wrap up, Ursula, I'm curious to know about your future projects, or is there something that you may explore here in the future, maybe in the coaching business?
Yeah, I'm in the process of just finishing an ebook on executive presence because this is really something that resonates for the women leaders that I coach. It's based and was inspired by a book of the same name called Executive Presence, and I've added a few things, brought in the neuroscience of why that is important. So that executive presence ebook, that executive presence space, is something that I want to expand on. It's a really nice structure for leaders. There's four pillars to that, and so it gives their journey and their own growth a structure and focus. And there are some things in there that I think many leaders really struggle with and are not so easy to address within a corporate space. So that's my next project. The ebook is almost done. And then I am going to I want to really develop like a webinar around these four pillars, have, a 4 week webinar around that and help people really sort of discover what that executive presence means. Because in coaching, we talk a lot of coaching presence.
Yes.
Well, that's, not much different from leadership presence. And It's a word that sort of gets thrown around, but I want people to understand how this works in terms of the science, the neuroscience, so that there is a deeper understanding
Mhm.
of how they can also expand and lean more into that presence. So that's a project I'm really excited about. And then on the Be Above leadership side with Anne, we are developing a spiritual coaching program
Mm. Interesting.
because we are the neuroscience and consciousness people. And the last 15 years, we've really focused on very much on neuroscience and consciousness. Now we want to flip this around a little bit and do, consciousness, spirituality, and a little bit of neuroscience. So slightly different energy. Um, because that's what's interesting to us right now. And really, and maybe this is also helpful for beginning coaches. Anne and I do what we feel is fun for us, and sometimes we've created bodies of work that really nobody wanted, but we wanted it. So sometimes we did webinars or things where we had a few people, but it never sort of landed or stuck for whatever reason. Maybe the world wasn't ready, but we enjoyed it. So we just keep going along this path. We don't know if the world needs a spiritual coaching program, potentially a certification. We have no idea, but we want it. We
Mhm.
want to learn what that means. And so we will create it, we will throw it out there, and then we will sort of watch.
Exactly. Yeah.
Do people want it? And then again, stick with it. We will do it once and see how many people we get, then we'll do it again. And over time, it will probably get a little bit of groundswell, it will go somewhere. And again, if it doesn't, we go like, well, wasn't that fun?
No,
And
it's
we learned so much. It didn't go anywhere. Okay, well, we'll figure something else out. So that can actually be very helpful, being unattached to the outcome.
exactly. And that's non-attachment, apart from the detachment that we do in coaching, the
Yeah,
non-attachment towards the results. Is
yeah,
like you test, you
yeah,
try, you adjust, you review until you get it something really decent to be shared with people. And
yes,
then the right people, those who can resonate with this, they will
yes,
gravitate towards that. Is
yeah,
that diversity in course creation, in
yeah,
training, so that everyone will find themselves in what is really
yeah,
your content, and that diversity is key in being a trainer, apart from being a coach.
yeah.
And Ursula, best of luck with this book. And I look forward to attending this webinar if it's open to the public. I would
Yes.
love to attend it. And I'll let you share with us a final thought before we wrap up.
Well, aside from that, it was, as always, lovely to be with you. I think that really, as it comes to you as a coach and having a coaching business, really, it's sort of a balance between this is what I need to focus on today. This is my to-do list. Let me do one thing. But I think if any of you can really lean into this is my joy, this gives me meaning, this is what's fun, that is sustainable. Um, Everything else is much harder to do. You might be able to keep going, but it will be an energy drain. So just whatever you're doing, whatever you're wanting to do, what's your energy?
Yeah.
Are you leaning in and going like, yep, I've got energy for it, or you're going like, not so sure about that.
Or maybe you put in all of your energy everywhere. It's like you find yourself, maybe kind of
The,
multitasking.
That's another good point. Now, that is something I had to learn the hard way. I'm a Gemini, so this sign, astrological sign, likes variety, and the grass is always greener on the other side for the Gemini. And I had to learn the hard way to not constantly look at the grass on the other side of the road and go, oh, look, that's so much greener than over here. I had to really hone that in and go like, nope, that's what you're doing right now. Don't look at another, delicious candy in the candy store because that's just going to be too much. So that's been a little bit of a struggle, and I think it's still continuing a little bit of a struggle. But I have learned to go like, no, that's my focus right now. This other idea I have that needs to wait. So
No, for me, it's like everyone wants my help in something. It's like I
yeah,
can find myself not really wanting to say no,
yeah,
but I learned it the hard way, like you said, to kind of manage what I can take in my plate, what I can chew, and that's it. So if my
yeah,
energy is no is if I'm done with something, so I would say kindly, I can no longer take this because
yes,
I simply cannot. So
yeah, yeah.
being
No,
in that sense, yeah.
yeah, no, absolutely. That's, I mean, there's so much more we could talk about, like boundaries and self-care for coaches. You
Exactly.
mentioned earlier on, we need to be, aware of our energy, and self-care is a huge thing. So, yeah, those are they my last thoughts? Probably not.
Maybe other topics or
But
other.
they're a thought.
Thank you,
Ah,
Ursula. Thank you so
you're
much. It's
welcome.
really
You're
amazing.
welcome.
And
Yes.
I look forward to interacting with you in any other events and why not see you in
Yeah.
person soon enough. So
Yeah.
maybe in an ICF conference or maybe I don't know, by coincidence you're playing golf, whatever. So
Bring my golf clubs to Tunisia. That would be
yes.
something else.
Oh, I'll take you to nice places here. We have a lot of golf playing areas here
Oh,
in Tunis. Yeah, a
yeah,
lot of this.
yeah. Well,
There's
reach out to me. I will support the ICF chapters and community,
yeah.
uh, including your teachers. Anyone who wants to learn a little bit more about the brain and coaching. I'm always there. So
Thank you so much. Thank you
you
so
as well. Have a great day, and good luck with your next thing.
I'll just log out and pop in next to the other events. Thank you so much, Ursula.
Okay. Take
So
good
much
care.
love and
Yes,
and
you
see
too.
you. Thank
See
you.
you soon. Bye bye.
Bye.